Okay. Better, I get it. But it's guys like Joey, now does it kind of make more sense? You know why me and you, why we're so passionate about this place? There are people who've given everything, their limbs, their lives, their families will never, ever be the same. Ever. Ever. Hey, Dad, hold on, I'm gonna do something. Dad, come here a sec, sit down. Come here, I'm gonna put my father on the show. Here, you're on the show. Say hello to the audience. How you doing? There. I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm talking about a very kind of sensitive topic, but you would know. When Mom lost Greg, you know, when they lost Greg, that changed everything with the family, right?
Yes, it did. There was a sadness, an air of just sadness that you didn't mention anything, but you knew it was there, so no one talked about it, but it was always around us.
Yeah, like Grandma, right? So we lost my uncle Greg. I obviously wasn't alive. My mother's older brother lost him heroically. He died, got shot in the back in Vietnam. I'm not giving up on this country like he didn't either. And guys like Joey Jones who lost their legs, folks. People have given everything, families. Now, you probably know Grandma, God rest her soul. Not your mother, obviously, Mom's mom. But you know her better than, you know her longer than I did. She was never the same after that.
She was never the same. You know what it is? We always know of another person. Something happened to that person. But it never happens to us. It's always the other until we're the other. And then all of a sudden, it really hits. Instead of a story you're telling about someone else, it's a story you're telling about yourself.
Yes, and then when Grandma died, again, she was your mother-in-law. I mean, she would die with a broken. It wasn't just like she got over it after. I mean, 20 years later, you still couldn't mention the fact that we lost Uncle Greg. She would start crying like she couldn't take it.
Right. Yeah. It always again was an air around it. Like I said, something unsaid but always there. So it's true because it's such a traumatic thing that you're just so sad because now you're that person, and you don't even want people to mention it, of course, because then you relive it, and no one wants to relive that, of course.
Talking to the most important guest we've ever had. It's a very special person, very internationally known, a man of mystery. He's 008. Not 007. Dad, I got a few minutes with my father, John Bongino. I did not plan on him being, either did he. He was talking to Paul. I'm like, Dad, come on over, sit down. So,
thank you.
Tell the audience a little bit. We got a few minutes left here. So you're a natural on the radio, by the way. Well done. I appreciate that. Paul, imagine he sucked and he was terrible. Be like, Dad, get out of here. You're terrible. You're killing my audience. So
I'll have a podcast next week.
Yeah, he will. I will. The Kitchen Table with John Bongino. We'll steal Rachel's name from their show. So, growing up, right, so the audience has an idea of how I was. Like, we were down in Smithtown. Mom said I used to sit in a room a lot and do puzzles by myself. Like I was kind of a loner. Is that true, or is she making this up?
No. Danny was very quiet. He literally would sit in the living room. We would give him puzzles and literally hours on end sit there and do it. So now you're thinking, like, what happened then? That,
right? You thought I'd be shy, right?
But he really was that way, this quiet little kid who would just sit there. So it is amazing what you see now, of course.
And when I played soccer when I was younger, I really sucked, right? You can tell the audience I was no good, right?
Yeah, the best part was when they handed out the oranges.
Yes, I was first in line. I was first in line for them oranges and the cold water. Hey, John, I was thinking we get John Krapinski here too. That was awesome, the oranges. But one more thing. I did a lot of puzzles, and I love James Bond movies, correct? So it wasn't a surprise to you when I wound up in the Secret Service?
No, I wasn't surprised at all. It was almost like you went from one thing. I remember even when you were, in New York, NYPD, you always wanted to go to another level. You knew that was step one, not the end step. It was actually the first step.
Wait, one more thing, two more things, because you're in my next book, too, by the way. My father just found out he's in my next book. Don't worry, it's very good, I promise. No deep, dark, dirty secrets. I don't have them. But a couple things. So, do you remember the conversation in Aunt Sue's basement? We were talking to Jimmy. Jimmy was staying down there at the time. That's my other brother. And I wanted to go in the FBI. Do you remember you brought me the brochure for the Secret Service? You're like, Danny, you got to check this out, brother. Well, you didn't say brother, but you get the point.
Yes, and the reason why they considered them, well, I still consider them, the best of the best. And that's, if you wanted to go to a certain level, that's the way I thought of it. And just one quick thing, I'm sorry, I'm grabbing your time.
No,
is when
it's your
Danny
time.
graduated, the head, Stafford
Stafford
was the head.
Yeah, you got a good
and
number.
they said, you, meaning them, do the most two important things of anyone in the world. You protect the currency, because if someone does something with the currency, everyone's going to panic. And you protect the leader of the free world. And if something happens to the leader of the free world, not just the United States is scared, the world gets scared because it happened to the leader. So I remember that graduation and those two things always. So yes, it made such an impression.
Teresa, we got Teresa from Westwood One. Get this guy a show. Wait, one last thing. I got about a minute left, right? We need the John Bongino show. We're talking to my dad, John Bongino, in an unexpected guest appearance because Joey Jones had to leave a little earlier. One last question for you. I got about, I don't know, a minute left. Who knows? It's a flexible break. I'll do whatever I want. Mike's like, do whatever you want. Tell the truth. When I first left the Secret Service to run for the U.S. Senate in the deep blue state of Maryland, you thought I was a lunatic, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. Yes, that is the most honest answer.
And not a negative. But yes.
We were in my brother Joe's basement, cleaning out his basement. He was moving, and my father's like, you know, the Depression era kid. My grandparents were savers, right? They were savers. Grandma, grandpa, the best. Loved them. The greatest people ever. And if you had a government job, right, you were like a superhero.
Right.
And it's translated down to my father here. Meanwhile, I'm a crazy person, like a risk taker. And my father's like, bro. Oh, again, he didn't say bro. He called it that. But the bro thing's my thing. He's like, you're leaving to run for office? Like, are you a crazy person? And I'll never forget, you said to me, Daniel, I think you really need to think about this, son. Well, you can call me son, but whatever. The Daniel part's there. And I said, I'm going to do it anyway. But you were happy when I won the primary.
I was. What was amazing about it is usually normal people start at